All right, so let's start.
Okay, well, today we are talking about macros. So I talk about macros all the time, talk about macro budget. I think that for me, having a visual about what my plate is supposed to look like is probably the most handy thing. I don't weigh things and I don't weigh them anymore. I did in the beginning because I wanted to be really precise. I think I've told you this before, my story. Ooh, I just hit my mic. Sorry. I hope that didn't go.
It's okay.
Not used to having something on here.
It's all good.
But when I got pregnant with Maddie, my third child, I was borderline, could have had gestational diabetes. So they had me meet with a nutritionist, and she had to teach me about how to eat pretty much all day long. It was it was nauseating the amount of food that I had to eat in a day, and I had to eat all day long, which is hard for me. So after I had Maddie, got back to eating, normally, I guess, right? I went plant-based. So I think meat just weirded me out for some reason when I was, after I had Maddie, when I was nursing, it just like meat weirded me out. And so I went through this period where I was like, okay, I want to be plant-based. I'm going to eat the things that Maddie was eating. So I loved going to the farmer's market, getting squash and all these cool vegetables, kohlrabi. Things like I had no idea what they were. And then I'd go home and I'd figure out, like, how do I make a recipe with this vegetable that I got from the farmer's market, which was great. And it was so fun. And I think I was the most creative food-wise. That was when I was the most creative. What I didn't factor in is I was eating all the time because I was nursing, right? So I was eating all the time, and I was eating a lot of legumes. I was eating a lot of squash. I was eating a lot of super, super carby vegetables. So when I decided I needed to kind of figure out what it was that I was eating, how many carbs was I eating in a day, going back and knowing what my macros are supposed to be, for me in a weight loss phase is very different than me in a maintenance phase. So that's kind of this exercise of going through and figuring out what your macro budget is for the day, is putting these data points in. So I've done yours.
Okay, so for those of us that don't go to the farmer's market regularly and buy fun vegetables and think it's fun to look up recipes to make new things, guilty. But want to start somewhere. And also those of us that don't know what macros are, maybe we should. As most of you know, I'm a physician. I still don't know what a macro is. I've been hanging out with Melissa for many months. I still don't know what a macro is. So here it is. Here's my lesson. Okay, tell me.
Okay. So these are, when I talk about macro, I talk about your macro budget. I'm talking about the macros that the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats that you should have in a day based on your goals and your activity level, okay? So the questions that I ask are based on how many times a day do you want to eat. That's why I asked the question in the 21-day challenge. It's probably funny for people that that's so far up there. But I want people to understand that how many times you eat in a day, that's your very first variable, right? Because some people, we're busy, we don't eat many times throughout the day. And there's science behind how often you should eat, when you should eat. I think that's a personal preference, and that's something during this journey of you getting from where you are today to your goals, you're going to have to decide that for yourself. In our 21-day challenge, we go through things like what's intermittent fasting?
Sure.
What is, what happens if I
And
only
hydration.
eat, right? What happens if I'm eating lunch and I eat a snack and I eat dinner? So that's the first question that I asked you, was how many times do you like to eat?
Yeah.
And so you said three times.
Snacks.
Three snacks and a dinner.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I put it here into the calculator. We can do a custom macro for the way that you like to eat. So if you're a plant-based eater, if you are someone who likes to stick more to like a Mediterranean diet, you're someone who really likes the paleo lifestyle, and that's most of the recipes that I pick out tend to be on the paleo side or maybe keto side. I myself can have dairy. Dairy doesn't bother me. I know there's a lot of people that have intolerances to dairy. I find that gluten starts out as a preference for a lot of people. Maybe we have a little touch of gluten intolerance. Certainly it's a preference. I just personally think that building out your day without gluten, and then if you're tolerant of it, you can add a little bit of that back in there.
I'm gluten free, so that works.
So there are ways that we can customize this if there are certain ways that you like to eat. This is just general. This is going to give us, it's going to spit out results for anything. We also ask, are you in a goal? What is your goal right now with your weight? Are you in a goal to lose weight? Are you in a goal to maintain your weight? And by weight, I'm kind of meaning body fat, right? Or are you trying to lose that? Are you trying to lose weight? Some of us don't use a scale as an indicator. Yeah. We use more like, what size am I in?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I in the, I don't know, how do my clothes fit? So anyways, so we asked, what phase are you in? Obviously male or female, there's a difference there. How tall you are, how much you currently weigh, how old you are, that plays a factor in here. Body fat. We may or may not know our body fat percentage. Now it is pretty easy for us to get that without even having to visit our doctor. If you go to the gyms, sometimes we'll have a body is it?
Fat. There's like a body fat scale.
Right.
Or like a body makeup scale.
Scan. And you can have them do a scan. At a lot of supplement stores, vitamin and nutrition supplement stores, they have the scans as well. And I know there's a lot of places in town where you can go and have a nutritionist or someone do a scan for you. Anyway, so we kind of guessed on exactly what that percentage is. But for this calculation, they're very broad buckets. So we asked you what your body fat was. And then the most important part about this, and as we change our lifestyle, this starts out in one spot potentially and then moves to a different spot and we redo the macros, but this is your activity level. So we have to be really honest with where we are with our activity level. And as we know, if we are not active, we certainly don't need as many calories as we would if we were very active, right? An extreme athlete is going to be in a very different spot if they're trying to maintain weight or build muscle and they're very active. So we have your...
And I said I want to build muscle.
Right.
And I think we said my body fat was like somewhere between probably, I assume it's like 20-ish%.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't do much weightlifting.
Yeah. And then moderately active.
I'd say moderately active, yeah.
Because you work out...
mostly cardio.
Yeah. And you work, you do that
at least 3 times a week.
Right. Okay, so now all of those things get plugged into this machine. It's actually just a calculator, right? So I'm going to do a screenshot so we remember yours. How do I do this here? Oh, it's print screen. Okay, so in order to maintain your weight but to build muscle, you should be consuming, based on this calculator, approximately 1,950 calories in a day.
Oh my gosh.
That's 19.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure it's not that.
Surprising, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now this is to me, this is the number one number for me it shapes my entire day.
Okay.
Your carb.
Yeah.
Budget for the day. Do you want to take a guess?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Okay.
20.
I'll tell you something. I have this delicious tea that I am drinking right now. It's delicious. I got it at a trade show or a meetup for CPG people that I got last night. I mean, it's fantastic. It's delicious. And I'm going to tell you one serving size of this tea, and it's a skinny little can, right? 27 carb. Okay, for this can. Your budget for the day, 16.
That's the problem.
Because you're 5'1".
I know.
Okay.
And a half.
5'1" and a half. And
I'm probably 5'1" now.
so you are allotted, which I think is a lot, but when you start measuring this out, you're allotted 54 grams of fat.
Okay.
So 54 fat.
I haven't really measured or know even how to measure.
Well, salad dressing.
Okay,
For most of us,
Oils,
we get our
butters,
fats right.
Sure.
Exactly.
Cheese, probably. That's
Right.
Nuts. Those are my
Yeah. So you have
top
a
things.
healthy-ish fat budget, and then protein, which is really important. And for me, I have to be very mindful about how I get all of my protein in a day. 119 protein.
For me,
119 protein to maintain
I
and
bet
to
I'm like
build
30,
muscle.
if that.
Yeah.